distinct pleasure of introducing Mary Whisner, a distinguished alumna of this department who has devoted herself to the integrity of information in legal practice and research. Mary graduated from the University of Washington with a degree in philosophy in 1977 as a first-generation student. She then returned to the department briefly as a secretary before attending Harvard Law School, where she served as editor-in-chief of the Harvard Women's Law Journal and was active in the Gay and Lesbian Law Student Group, completing her degree in 1982. After law school, Mary clerked for Judge Stephanie Seymour of the U.S. Court of Appeals for the 10th Circuit and worked at the Appellate Court Branch of the National Labor Relations Board. She received a Women's Law and Public Policy Fellowship to work at the Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights Under Law before shifting focus and training to be a law librarian. Whisner has worked as a law librarian at the University of Washington since 1988, working in a variety of areas, including reference services and public services. She's frequently been a guest lecturer across campus on topics concerning legal research. In addition to being a co-author of the textbook Fundamentals of Legal Research, Mary penned the Law Library Journal's Practicing Reference column for 20 years. There's some great entries in there. She was recipient of the University of Washington Distinguished Librarian Award in 2009, the University of Washington School of Law Dean's Medal in 2011, and in 2021, Whisner was a recipient of the Marion Gold Gallagher Distinguished Service Award from the American Association of Law Libraries, the highest award offered by the organization. And as if this weren't enough, Mary has published a variety of cartoons over the years and is a proud member of the Ballard Sedentary Sousa Band, which you can check out online when you have time. So I welcome Mary Whisner.
Hello, graduates, family, friends, faculty. Many of us have never met one another before, but we're all drawn together in community today because of the students. They have been in classrooms and on Zoom together. They've learned from the professors and from one another. And you, parents, friends, and relatives have watched the students grow as they went through their studies and other life challenges. Thank you for supporting and encouraging them, even if you didn't always know why they were anxious about an Aristotle paper or confused about Kurt Gödel's theorems. Like you students, I'm walking past a life milestone. You have finished up your last papers. You have, haven't you? To complete your degrees. I am about to retire. Friday is my last day after over 34 years working in the UW Law Library. Was a part of earlier transitions for me too. My very first quarter at the U, I took Philosophy 100. After I finished my BA in philosophy, my very first full-time job was as a secretary in the philosophy department. From there, I headed off to other transitions, leaving Seattle, starting law school, coming out, having relationships, moving to other cities, working in different jobs, going to library school, and eventually moving back to Seattle and back to the University of Washington. By this stage of my career, one foot out the door, I am aware that some of my experience seems pretty remote to current students. So when Professor Woody invited me here, my insecure inner voice said, oh, these young students wouldn't care about an alumna from so long ago. But then I realized that students who have chosen to study philosophy are not caught up in the spell of the new. Even as you use the latest technology, you are willing to engage with the ideas of Socrates. When you take Philosophy 322, modern philosophy, you study philosophers from the 17th and 18th centuries. If Immanuel Kant counts as modern, why wouldn't you be open to a speaker who went to college in the 1970s? I've been to dozens of law school commencements. The speakers generally assume that the graduates came to law school because they wanted to be lawyers and are headed off to do just that. I don't make similar assumptions about you. What I assume about you is that you chose to study philosophy because you found it interesting. Studying it fed some hunger in you to think about things in a deep way. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think many of you got a lot of pressure from your families to major in philosophy. Nor did you think that philosophy would automatically lead to a well-defined career path. You found it and liked it, even if you hated some philosophers or some classes. That's okay. Does studying philosophy, because you like it and find it interesting, reduce it to the same level as any other recreational pursuit? Is it like binge watching a Netflix series, reading vintage science fiction, playing pool? I don't think so. To get your degree in philosophy, you have had to grapple with a lot of texts, analyze issues, and explain and defend your positions. You have thought deeply about a wide range of issues. That builds skills that you can use in the rest of your lives. I'll give a few examples from my own life, starting with law school, my first stop after the philosophy department. I had a friend in law school who didn't understand why everyone made a big deal about law school being hard, because the reading assignments were only 20 pages or so at a time, and as an undergraduate, she had skimmed dozens of books every semester. She didn't do particularly well in her first year of law school, and only gradually figured out that she wasn't supposed to be skimming the assigned cases. But coming from philosophy, it was natural to me to read every word and to pay close attention to the reasoning of cases and how principles fit together. I was happy to pore over texts looking for ambiguities, or to think about rules and speculate about circumstances that would merit exceptions. There's a famous case in torts that stood out to me because it was from Washington State. In this case, a 5-year-old boy moved a chair as an elderly woman was sitting down. She fell and broke her hip. Would the boy or his family have to pay damages? It came down to the boy's intent. When he moved the chair, did he know with substantial certainty that the woman would attempt to sit down where the chair had been? Wow. How can a judge know what the boy knew? And what the boy knew with substantial certainty? Doesn't that feel like philosophy? Torts is full of stuff like that. You can spend hours talking about what it means for an action to cause an injury. When someone has a reasonable fear, and how to evaluate risk or the probability of harm. And of course, law touches on many issues of justice. Back in 1977, I took an ethics seminar where we pondered abortion, allocation of scarce medical resources, euthanasia, and capital punishment. Those issues are very much alive still. We discuss them in a seminar, but they aren't limited to the seminar room. They often play out in law through advocacy, litigation, and legislation. And what about my profession as a librarian? That too has philosophical elements. Online searching is made possible by the symbolic logic you've all studied. The idea of cataloging, indexing, and abstracting feels philosophical. How can a cataloger deem this book to be about a given topic? Why not 6 other topics? What's a topic, anyway? Why do I believe this author is more credible than the other? Why do I believe Are they enough? Do I need more? So you can think about philosophy wherever you are. Epistemological questions infuse our national life too. Perhaps we can all agree that, certain philosophers to the contrary, there is a real world outside our minds. I believe that I'm standing here, and you probably believe it too. But what about all the things we believe without direct experience? I believe that Ernest Shackleton and the crew of Endurance were trapped in pack ice off the coast of Antarctica in 1914 and were rescued in 1916. I believe that the wreck of Endurance was discovered about 10,000 feet deep just a few months ago. What? Why? I wasn't alive in 1914. I've never been to Antarctica. I didn't send underwater drones to photograph the wreck, let alone go 10,000 feet beneath the surface. I don't know the people who were there. Probably even the people who wrote the articles I read didn't meet the people who were there. Still, I believe these things I experienced only at a great remove. Now, maybe the story of Endurance isn't controversial. A lot of people agree that it's safe to trust Smithsonian Magazine and National Geographic to give good information on a topic like this. But what about election returns from other states, or even my own state? I wasn't personally observing each poll. I didn't count the ballots. What about reports from a war zone? I haven't been to Kyiv or Mariupol. Philosophy can help us think about why we might believe something is true or likely true, even while understanding that the reporter could have gotten it wrong and might need to update the story. Whether you go on to more schooling and wherever you end up working, I hope you keep the values and habits of philosophy. It's good to ask questions. It's good to wonder, what if? Your skills, debating ideas, reaching decisions, and explaining your positions will come in handy throughout your lives. Whether you're working as a policy analyst or managing a sandwich shop, your organizations will face lots of decisions, and you'll benefit from the ability you've developed to articulate your position, explaining why you favor one course of action or another. Congratulations on completing your degrees in philosophy. Even if you forget details about which philosopher said what, the training will stay with you. Best wishes as you go out into the world with those